We moved to the United States in 2010 because it was going to give us more opportunities than we had here in the UK. Um, we wanted to build a better life for ourselves, and after the financial crash in 2008, those opportunities weren't open to us here in the UK. However, because Susie is a dual national UK US citizen, it left the option open to us to try our hand in the United States.
Land of opportunities, as they say.
Yeah.
So we did move in 2010, and if you've been following us, you know that we have moved back now to the UK. So why, after 15 years, did we move back? We are going to be starting a series of videos here that goes into a lot more depth on the reasons why we left America. So stay tuned. We started our YouTube channel with our first video, which was 5 reasons why we were moving back to the UK from the US. And it was our first video. We weren't quite sure what was going on.
It seems such a long time ago now.
But also, we feel that we gave you 5 kind of practical reasons why we were moving. And we didn't really go into a lot of depth. And I think we did that for a reason. We wanted to actually be back here in the UK, which we have been now for 7 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of process things a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was kind of, full on with the preparations and such. So we've had a bit more time to think about this. And so we are now going to do a series that tries to go in more depth. But the problem we had and have is that there are a multitude of reasons.
Yeah, so what we're going to try and do is break it down into the various reasons as to why we moved, but there will be some overlap, I think, because they can't help but given a timeline or what the topic is. Oh, excuse me. There is going to be overlap, so if we get a little repetitive, then please don't hold it against us. We're going to try and focus on a particular theme for each.
Right, and
video.
that's been the bit that's been a bit difficult, is because a lot of these things, so there are very personal reasons.
Yeah.
There are some work-related reasons, and there are some reasons that we felt for us, America just changed.
Yeah.
And so trying to get all of those broken into different categories or topics is difficult. But of course, it's all happening over the same time period.
Yeah.
So that's what Paul means by repetition. So some of this obviously is linked into historical events as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to do our best to try and weave through all the different reasons and give you a sort of broader perspective as to why we made the choice after 15 years to come back.
Indeed. So the story really starts financial crash 2008. We were disenchanted with our jobs that we were in at the time.
Yes.
We were in a financial pickle, and because Susie is a dual national UK US citizen, it meant that there was an opportunity for us to try and strike out into the US.
So we left the UK in 2010 with a lot of hope. Like we were really, 2008 onwards, like we had happy moments. We got married and things like that. Honeymoon. But really, we weren't living the life that we had thought for ourselves.
Yes.
So we went to America. We were filled with lots of hope. I had a job secured.
But we knew we didn't go. We may have made an emotional decision to go initially, which we discussed in our first video. But we knew that there would be difficulties going forward. But we were prepared for that because we were starting a new life in a different country.
Yeah.
You got your job over there before we left here, which was good. And as we explained before, we gradually put our lives together over there.
Yeah. And it was a struggle. We're not, and I'm sure everybody's in the same boat, we went with a thought to Charlotte in North Carolina, being a financial area that Paul, from working in finance, would get a job. He struggled initially to find work for, again, that's been explained in the previous video, but fell into teaching.
Yeah.
So I was reinvigorated, I think is the word. I kind of had been teaching in England for a while, and I got a bit down about it. I was a bit jaded because it felt like it was, for me at the time, glorified babysitting, really. The students weren't really there to learn, they were there to socialize. Anyway, digression. The point is that I felt like in America, in the schools that I had started with, that even though it was hard, that I was getting through to the students. So that was good. And you found this new love of teaching. So he went to college.
Yeah, I went to college and pursued a degree in history and a minor, what they call a minor in secondary education. Whilst I was doing that, I was able to be a substitute teacher at the school Susie was at, which gave me invaluable, experience in teaching. I was a lot more experienced in teaching than many of the students I was in university with. Time rolls by, and we ended up working together at the same school.
Yeah, things were a struggle.
Yeah.
We only had one, proper wage coming in, but you get through that because you know that better times are ahead. And it wasn't as if our day-to-day was horrible. It wasn't. You really enjoyed being at college. I enjoyed my job.
The analogy we used in the US, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. In the UK, the tunnel just seemed to be going on and on.
Yes, yeah. So, as I said, I had initially at the first school, but then I moved to some other schools. Towards the end of towards the end of him finishing his degree, I started at a new school where it was brand new. Like they were just building the high school. And so I came in from the ground up, and I could build a science department the way that I wanted to build a science department. Mm-hmm. So we had a lot of hope. And as Paul said, he eventually got a job working at the same school. So things were really on the up. We had bought a house.
Yeah.
Our first house that we bought together.
We adopted 2 cats.
We had adopted 2 kittens. So, for us, things were, like Paul said, like we were seeing that life that we wanted.
Now, obviously, life has its ups and downs, and we did experience life's ups and downs. For the first time, the fragility of our parents really was struck home. Was yes. Your mum had never been a healthy person by any stretch of the imagination, but we got a phone call in 2013 to say that she was in hospital, yes. that she had blood poisoning, and things did not look like she was going to survive.
Yeah, the prognosis was not good. So we had to make an emergency dash back to England. We had been hoping to save some money to have a proper holiday. Not a proper holiday, but like before that, our parents had come to see us. Some family had come to see us, but we hadn't had like our own holiday in America ourselves.
Yeah.
We? So that kind of, anyway, the point is she pulled through. She came through it. And she was fine. In fact, they came to visit us that Christmas.
The following Christmas, 2013, they came to visit in our new house.
Yeah. So, again, working hard to get somewhere, and
we did feel we were getting somewhere.
We did feel we were getting somewhere. Like I said, we were hopeful. We were just moved into the house though, and we were sort of hit with another knock, and that was that my father had been diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. Just before that, in fact, just a few more months before that, he had found out that his younger brother also had lung cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, he didn't. His brother died before he shared the information with the rest of the family.
Yeah.
Anyway, from him getting the diagnosis, again, we thought we needed to go over. We felt we needed. Well, we wanted.
Be there.
Not we needed. We wanted to go over and spend some time with them. Not really understanding that really was the last time that we would have seen him in good health, because
or seen him physically if we were Skyping and things.
Because he lost that battle in January 2016, and when we got the phone call, we literally flew New Year's Eve.
We flew New Year's Eve. We landed on New Year's Day.
If anybody has seen somebody die from cancer, it's not a nice thing to watch a parent die that way. I mean, not a nice thing
to watch anybody die that way.
It's especially kind of cruel, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you have experience with that in the past as well. So we didn't start 2016 in a very good light. And coming back to the US, it was a struggle. I was in my new school, and the first time I had experienced that kind of loss. Paul had lost his mum before I met you.
Oh, no, it's in my 20s, yeah.
But I had never really experienced that, and it was hard to get through. But we managed. You know, you manage, don't you? My mum was alone for the first time in nearly 60 years. But she came out to visit us, didn't she? She spent that first Christmas without him with us, which was nice. And again, like, we saw a bit of hope. We were getting on. You were really enjoying your work.
Yeah.
I was enjoying my work. And then another knock, which was then my mum had been diagnosed with vascular dementia. So we started the school year 2019. It was quite difficult. We had spent the summer with her. She was initially supposed to come out to us, but her dementia kind of deteriorated quite quickly, where she wasn't safe to travel on her own. And so we changed the plans. We literally had bought the tickets for her to come over, and we just cashed those and
bought our own to come and visit.
And
it was good that we did.
It was good that we did. It was, and I appreciate that for my sister and her husband. It was a very hard time because we felt very helpless. We couldn't really do anything so far away to help them out, to help mum out. We were still talking to her every week, weren't we?
Yeah.
But we were getting a very different picture from her, because obviously she wasn't going to tell us
from the
how
summer.
It was.
The summer we visited to the autumn, she went into very quick decline, didn't she?
Yes,
and
we
your
were talking
sister
about,
and my brother-in-law had to put up with the brunt of that.
Yeah, and we were talking about looking for a home for her, that she wasn't safe in her own home anymore. And then we got a call that she had a fall and was in hospital. And
then we got a call that she'd had a fall in the hospital.
Second fall in the hospital, which was a bad one, which had led to a bleed on the brain. And so, again, it was that sort of last-minute scramble to get a flight home, because we were told she wouldn't make it through the weekend. Which, again, Mum, defying the odds, as she always used to do, she actually hung on. She hung on until the following Friday, didn't she?
Yeah.
And when we arrived, she was unconscious, but she came back into consciousness, and we spent a bit of time with kind of a version of her, not her that we remember, but
no.
Still, it was a nice moment before, obviously, again, the horrible moment of watching
a parent
die. And that one hit me especially hard, because I was an orphan, and it doesn't matter how old you are. Whenever you become an orphan, you just feel adrift. You've lost that anchor of who you were.
I think with you traveling around the world like you did so many times as a kid, having your mum and dad there, they were the one, wherever they were, that was your home.
Right.
And that was gone.
I lost that. So I lost my sense of home, as well as my parents. And yeah, that was a struggle for me. It was more of a struggle to get back into work. And I got ill, didn't I? I was physically, had a really bad bout of the flu. I mean, I felt, look, you drove. Yeah. We were up in the mountains, supposed to be having a holiday, and I was so sick that Paul just threw me in the backseat of the car and drove back from Tennessee.
We're going home.
I was delirious. I was completely off with a fever and everything, wasn't I?
Yeah.
So that was the start of school year 2019. And then obviously we moved into the Christmas without them. That was not an easy Christmas either.
No.
And then, of course, we all know what happened over the course of the start of 2020. There was a global pandemic.
Yeah, it was the third week in March 2020. We'd actually got away. We'd timed this perfectly to go on a teaching course together up in App State Unit. No, it wasn't App State, was it?
It was near Appalachian State. Yeah.
Near Appalachian State University, NCAT. And it was on project-based learning. And it coincided with the weekend of our wedding anniversary.
It did.
So we did what we normally do. We booked into a nice hotel, and we're going to go on this course the following week. And then on the Saturday, we got notice that the course had been cancelled because of the COVID outbreak. And then on the Sunday, when we were both a little hungover, we got a message from the school, get back to school, there's an emergency meeting in the morning. And what transpired was we were going remote. We were teaching remote at that point.
Lockdown.
Well, we were going to be remote in 2 weeks' time. The school was closed for 2 weeks.
But the whole state country was going into lockdown. And so we scrambled back. We had our meeting. We had to start thinking about how to teach remotely. And then?
Yeah. On the Saturday, we were up in Asheville on our wedding anniversary. I used to speak to my dad every Saturday morning. He'd come back from his shopping trips, and I'd time it so I could speak to him when he got home. And spoke to him on that Saturday, and he was all excited. We got to show him around our hotel room where we were staying and that. And then, obviously, with what happened the following couple of days, I rang him on the Tuesday night to see how he was doing during this first lockdown. And he was fine. He had all his food and he was more concerned he had all his toilet paper ready.
Yeah.
And so I spoke to him and said, all right, I'll ring you back on Saturday in the usual time. And I rang him back and he didn't answer. And I kept trying, and he wasn't there, which was most unusual. So I rang my uncle, who lived about half a mile away, and he popped round to see him, and he found my dad dead. Now, Dad didn't die of COVID, but it was right at the beginning of the outbreak. And we knew at that time it was a respiratory disease. And because you have asthma, I knew that you would be one of those people at the time that would be in the most danger from this. So I was faced with travelling alone to fly back to the UK to sort out Dad's funeral.
It was quite a difficult decision because, and I'm sure everybody remembers this at the beginning.
And you all have your own stories as well, undoubtedly.
Beginning of the pandemic, nobody knew anything. We didn't know really. I think we understood how it was transmitted through the air, but we didn't really know
the severity of
it. And so everything had gone into, lockdown, really. Finding flights was difficult.
Yeah, we'd book a flight and it would be cancelled.
And in fact, for him to be able to get over, you had to change that 3 times.
Yeah. Eventually I flew from Charlotte to New York to Schiphol to Manchester. But that KLM flight was the last flight out of New York for a week, maybe 2 weeks.
So it was compounded. There was the initial grief of losing. And I actually remember this, that last conversation that I had with your dad.
Yeah.
I literally said to him, "You're the last one that we have, Danny. You can't go dying on us." And of course he
laughed it off.
Did it? But it was the fact that I knew that he would have to go through this all by himself. Like, because of the restrictions over here, he couldn't even be greeted at the airport by any of your family
or friends.
You couldn't hug anybody.
No.
You couldn't comfort each other through this time. And I couldn't be there with you either. And it was just all around horrendous.
It was horrible.
Just horrendous. And again, as Paul said, we know that we're not alone in these stories. There are a lot of horrible things that people had to try and live through during COVID times. It just, it's just part of our story.
And these events obviously are the things that start to make our feelings over there to be a little soured by events.
Everybody went through a whole reshift of how they thought about everything.
Yeah.
It's once in a lifetime, hopefully once in a lifetime thing is a pandemic. And I think a lot of people started to assess their lives differently. And we did as well.
Yeah, certainly.
We managed to get through the rest of that school year remotely, but not knowing what the rest of anything was going to be like. I hold my hand up and say I was one of the panic loo roll buyers. I had a whole cupboard full of loo roll.
When it was available, it wasn't available first thing.
So anyway, that was really, I think, the start. We were talking. what we're trying to get across here, as depressing as this whole episode seems to be, is that
it gave us a new appreciation for what time you have.
Right, that's what it is.
Because at that point, we knew definitely that we would retire back to the UK, but with the events that began to transpire, certainly with COVID, maybe just a little bit before then, that kind of cemented the fact that maybe we should bring that forward.
And I think there's a lot more, in all of that, because grief, as a lot of you know, is not an immediate thing that you get over. And because of the loss, especially with my mom and your dad, and then
so
with
close
COVID,
together,
all of that in that short space of time, really threw us, didn't it? And it took us a long time to.
It was in 6 months.
It took us a long time to
process,
figure stuff out. And I know lots of people went through a lot of issues during COVID. I know that we also, we had to seek help, counseling and things. But it was really the start of us the beginning, should I say, of us starting to reimagine what we wanted from life.
Yeah. And the fact that maybe America didn't feature in our future sooner,
to be honest,
rather than later.
What the next video we're going to talk about is now the impact that had on our work, because obviously, really, all we had to focus on after that really was our work, wasn't it? So our next video is going to be talking about how this kind of melted into our jobs, because even though we were starting the process of rethinking what we wanted from life, we didn't really have time. It's in hindsight that we think these things. Actually, at the time, I think all of us were just scrambling and treading water and swimming upstream or whatever it was, just to get by every single day. So really, as much as we're trying to say that we were thinking about it at that time, it wasn't necessarily in our minds.
Say it was there in the back.
It was in the subconscious.
Yes, definitely.
It wasn't at the forefront because of other events, which we will talk about in our next episode.
And those are the things that really bring it to the fore, aren't they?
Right, yes. Yeah. So I'm sorry if we depressed you, but
I'm sorry if we rambled a bit, but
we just wanted to sort of share that the start of our journey coming back to the UK really did start with a bit of loss and a bit of grief. Well, a lot of loss and a lot of grief. And even I would say that part of our journey right now that we're back in the UK is still coming to terms with that loss and that grief, isn't it? Allowing us now to have the time that we didn't have then to try and process a lot of this.
Yes, because it's the familiar things here as well.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, so we hope that we haven't turned you off and depressed you. And please let us know your stories, because obviously everybody has experienced something similar to this. And I think the more we talk about this, the more we understand each other. I think it's that sense of community, isn't it? That sometimes if people are in grief, they isolate themselves and don't understand that we all kind of have gone through a similar journey, and that sort of gives you a kinship, doesn't it?
It's a trite saying, but a problem shared is a problem halved.
Exactly. So anyway, our next episode, we will then go on to talk about how COVID and how that impacted our jobs. You probably understand, either if you're in anywhere, like the job of a teacher changed dramatically during the pandemic. So we're going to talk about how what happened during and subsequent to coming out of the pandemic, how that impacted how we felt about our work.
Okay. Right.
So hopefully you'll stay with us.
Yes.
Hopefully we haven't lost subscribers. Sorry. But we really feel that this is kind of important, because making the decision to come back, as we've said, was a long process. And for anybody who is thinking about it, I think you will probably understand some of our reasons as you go through this series. So please stick with us, like us, subscribe.
Take care and bye for now.
Tea, have some cake.
Yes.
I think this
Cake's
involves
needed
cake now.
Yeah.
There's a higher level of this. Cake.
Bye.